Alright, hey guys, here we are, hole number 1 here. I'm going to give you a slight revision for. We're going to do the same thing as the other video if you watched, but I'm not going to go up the center. So we'll use a different fairway. Let me go load this account. And looks like I'm going to need to switch my driver, which I have not done yet. Here you can see this initial load issue. Seems to always take place on the first hole, first time you touch the button. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to the right fairway. What that's going to allow me to do is hopefully get basically a tailwind, which will make the alignment very easy for the ring adjustment. I do recommend going over using my other guide to the middle fairway. The hill is a little bit easier to anticipate. Now, I don't really recommend going over this way. The biggest issue I see is you're going to give yourself a very challenging crosswind when you do it this way. And the way the hill works is going to be a little bit challenging. So let's take a look here. I might just do plus 10%, which is going to give myself a little bit of an over adjustment, and use my max ring value aside from that. What I usually do is keep the top spin down for this approach. I don't really like to do this approach. It's very challenging to pull off. Here you can see right around 5 rings is kind of where I intend to have my target. I'm just going to basically maximize the way that I put my curl way over here to the side. So here you can see, you can run through that fairway. It is going to be, a little bit risky. You'll want to keep that top spin down, but if you pull it off, you will give yourself a very straightforward wind, which should end up helping you. Now what I've been doing is using not really an elevation change. I think the green sits a little bit higher, but the way that it kind of dips down is the reason that I haven't been adding elevation. Because the more that you have that dip down in between, it just kind of offsets. So it doesn't matter if the green sits up a little bit higher. So we're going to go at this with no elevation from over here, see how it works out. Let me get my grid back on. Get ready for ring input. But here you can see we get a very straight wind. And there's min club, here's max club. We're going to be, this is the one time that I could almost say this is pretty much mid club or mid-ish club. So I am just going to use the mid number because I do think it's probably very close to that. I might actually just cheat it in a little bit because you can see that I'm moving the target down to a lower area. So instead of going 7.8, I might go, there's 7.5. And the reason for that is because of the fact that the elevation is kind of changing in between, and it looks like the alignment was pretty good. It's just going to come down to, the way that it bounces off that side hill. It's going to need to be very exact. And there you can see I was able to get it very close to going in, and it's a very straight, easy, straightforward shot. But as I'm mentioning, as your rings go way lower down the hill, and that's one of the reasons that I like about the side hill shot, is you don't have much of that change. So another thing that I could have done, with my ring adjustment, since I was mentioning that I was going about 7.5, I could have set up to about here with my slider and then just use that mid for my adjustment. But as I was mentioning, anytime that you move down the target to a lower area, it doesn't like to adjust as many rings. So if you go that maximum amount of rings, the ball doesn't tend to carry back to that original target. So it's something you got to be very careful to make sure that you don't do. But in any regard, let me know if you like that approach. Hopefully, one of those two approaches will suit you. And, I do prefer, personally, I would recommend you guys going over towards the center fairway. It's going to give you, a little bit of a crosswind, but as I mentioned, you won't have as much of that elevation drop. And the drive, in my opinion, it's very consistent when you take it and do it with my exact kind of curl, aim, rings, all that. It's going to work out for you into the fairway, 90+% of the time. So, good luck there, guys, and catch you guys for revisions on a couple more holes. There's certain holes. I'm going to skip the next one, and I'll try to get you guys some more revisions for the ones where alternate approaches could. But if you guys haven't seen my video number 2, I already have a very good video for you, and there's no alternate approach.